All right, I am excited. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Vaughan from Ballroom Mastery. Wonderful to have you here. In today's show, we're going to go through the tango. Whenever I mention that dance to people, there's a lot of excitement. So if you're feeling this, then I want you to let me know below if tango's a dance that you do frequently or it's something that you're brand new to. Because often in dancing, we don't get exposed to this in the early stages of our dance journey. But maybe you do. I have a client I teach who's from China, and one of the first dances they actually teach there before the foxtrot is the tango. So in today's lesson, we're going to go through the tango walks, but I'm going to teach you something called the 80-20 principle. This is also known as the Pareto principle. I'll explain what it means in a minute, but it's going to be the key to your works. It's a bit early in the morning for my brain. Your walks working. That's the tongue twister I was trying to get out. Because you'll find that in tango, the dance itself was built up of walks. So let's get right to it. First of all, let's go through some really quick fundamentals of tango so you can understand the differences. Because the dance itself is its own world. It's its own little galaxy, okay? Think of the waltz, or what we call the swing dancers, the waltz, slow foxtrot, Viennese waltz, and quick step, as being on that planet, ballroom planet over there. And then sitting on this planet over here all by itself is an entire world dedicated to tango. Why? Because the principles are different. So we have similarities, but here are some of the fundamentals just in case you're not aware of them. And if you are aware of them, just to be a quick refresher. There's no rise and fall in tango, right? So there's no elevation, there's no lowering through the feet, legs, or body, okay? So we're not going up or down. The reason for that is there's no swing. So in a swing dance, your body would swing down, you would rise up through your feet, or you'd rise up through your body, and you'd then create a sway movement at the end to balance it. That would be a swing dance. So we don't do that. The reason for that is because we're lifting and placing our feet each time we walk in tango. So rather than us lowering and driving the heel through the floor to create an upswing, we would lift the foot and we would take a walk, therefore creating what we call a staccato rhythm, which is really stop and start. This is how you must think of tango. It originated in Argentina. It's known as the dance that stops and the dance that starts. And each walk is a version of that. We're doing a slight lift and a slight place, and our body weight will stop momentarily until we commence the next walk. What we must think about too with our feet, because we're lifting and placing, of course we're not like lifting and placing like that, we want to make sure that we delay our back foot as long as the music allows if we're doing a correct tango walk. So that's where this 80-20 principle is going to really help you. Because again, we do not want our feet to slide through the floor. That's when you've taken, you could say, an inappropriate tango step. You know, I've got my tie on today, so I'm feeling real professional right now. So what we want to make sure we do is we lift, we take a step, the feet delay as long as the music will allow, the back foot particularly, and then we can lift and place again. So we're going to talk about the 80-20 rule, but those are some of the very important differences in the tango. Now, there's another thing to think about. When you do your walks in tango, first of all, we have to step in CBMP. We also have to use a right side lead if we're the man or the lady going forward or backwards. I'll explain that in a moment. But the feet position, what is different in tango? I want you to let me know right below. What actually changes? The definition of closing in tango is not toes together, okay? What we want to have is the right foot on the instep of the left foot. The way we achieve that, face the wall, take a swivel to the left, 1/8 of a turn or a piece of pizza. If you want to know a bit more about turn, I did a Q&A last week where I talked about how turn works. Check it out. And so that turn allows the right foot to slip on the instep of the left foot. Once we have that foot position, the body has a very natural right side lead. It's very subtle. You'll notice that if I do it towards the camera and I turn, my right side slightly towards that instep because of my foot placement. I'm not actually square. This allows, as a couple, for us to connect better and to really feel each other's legs and thighs. And remember, everyone, good dancing happens between the thighs. Now, when we've got our foot position in place, we can now commence our walks. Now remember, this is why it's so important. Dancing is built on foundations, yeah? It's built on fundamentals. What would be a fundamental of any dance? A walk. In the swing dances, we have a ballroom walk, okay? In tango, we have a tango walk. That's what today's lesson's about with this 80-20 rule that I'll divulge to you in a minute that will absolutely be mind-shatteringly awesome for the way you do your walks. Let's get our feet in position, the next thing we need to do is then take our left foot and place it on the line of the supporting foot. That's what's known as CBMP. 2 tracks become 1 track, okay? If we're going forward as man or lady. If I'm then taking my right foot forward, I take it with a right side lead. That is now my tango walk. Always remembering we're creating a circle when we do this. So if you were to do 8 walks, you would create a full circle that would come back to where you started. So think of your walks as curving because there's no foot swivel when you close your feet. You must then place your feet with a direction in mind, okay? So if we then go back to the foot position, we've slipped, we've got our right foot on the instep of our left foot, got our body in our position, right? We can have our tango frame, which again is more compact. We're ready to roll. We then take our foot ready to walk. And here's what we're going to do. For the left foot to walk, we're going to take the left foot, we're going to peel the ball just off the floor. In ballet, this would be called licking. Now, we're not going to accentuate this movement, but you want to feel the ball sort of peel a little bit off the floor. Then you step, boom, and let the transference of weight stay behind the moving leg. So that means the middle of your body, where your belly button is behind the heel of the left foot in this instance, okay? Now, my weight at the moment is particularly, it's not central, it is 80% on the front foot and 20 on the back foot. This is the Pareto principle, 80-20. I'll go back to the Pareto principle in a second, but the idea is that our weight is not fully on the left foot. So the question then is, when do you transfer? Do you transfer your weight at the end of the step, or do you transfer it at the commencement of the next step? The answer is at the commencement of the next step. So in tango, our weight, you can think of your spine as being behind the moving foot like the whole time. And then the second walk, you then do the same thing. You would lift your foot, you'd place it, keeping in mind the curve, and you would have the 80-20 rule in effect. Keep your back knee slightly flexed because that will allow your weight to transfer with more control. If it's straight, you can see it pushes my body well over my right foot. Therefore, I'm pushing into my partner. So we want to keep in mind that we have this 80-20 rule all the time. So I lift my foot by peeling it. I step with my staccato action, right? My weight is just behind the moving foot, and I'm done. I've stopped. Off we go. Next walk, I would then peel, lift and place, boom. 80-20. This allows me to then stay with my partner. The transference complete when? When I take my next step. And just because of the direction of the camera, I'm going to overdo this one, so I'll step here. All right? So each time I've got my walk and I've got my curve. CBMP, side lead. CBMP, side lead. Okay? This is the same as the lady. The difference is when you're a lady going backwards, feet are closed, your right foot is on the instep, your right side slightly towards the man, heads to the left. Your right foot will step in that 1 track as well. Your back heel must remain up. Why? Because when we go backwards, if that heel lowers, your body weight will fall backwards, okay? So you want to keep the heel up using the 80-20 rule. So 80-20, but the heel is up at the back until you commence the next step, and then it will lower, so you can then take your left foot with a left side lead. Now, every time you step back in tango, you will release the toe of the supporting foot, the front foot, okay? So you sort of have this moment in time where your weight is balanced in between, then it transfers, okay? And so that will allow you to maintain connection to your man. Remember, whoever's going backwards has a very big impact on the balance of a partnership, because if the heel goes down too early, it pulls the person coming forward on top. So gentlemen, you go backwards just as much as the ladies. So I'm going to try something new here. I'm going to put on some tango music, and we'll see if we can do that together, because I'd love you to be able to dance this at home with me. So we'll see how we go with the music. Let me give this little bad boy a crack. I'll just do a little quick test, make sure the music's there. There we go. Now, hopefully you can hear it, but we'll do some walks together. And so we set up, right foot on instep, and 5, 6, 7, 8, slow, 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 slow. And again, we'll start again. Rhythm now, so we'll take our setup, and 5, 6, 7, 8, good, slow, slow. Notice that your weight, you've got to hold that back foot in place, okay? The right foot you haven't finished until the next step. Here we go again. 5, 6, and slow, slow, slow. Boom. Tango. tango, ready to roll, okay? This principle will really change the way that you dance. If you put it into effect, like anything, you've got to practice it. Okay, so making sure I'm back online. Hope the music worked, hope you could hear me. But the idea is that we want to hit each count slow, slow, and have a slight pause. That is the tango rhythm. Today, this week, your exercise is to make sure that you pay attention to that back foot. Notice my back ball of foot. Might be hard if you're on a mobile device, but if you have a look, I'm not pointing my back toe. There's weight on the ball of my back foot. That is what is allowing me to have 80-20 all the time. Keep in mind the Pareto principle. By the way, 80-20 applies to a lot more than just this in life. The 80-20 rule can also work like this. 20% of your training is going to produce 80% of your outcome. 20% of the technique that you deploy is going to produce 80% of your results in dancing. So you've got to figure out what is, and this is what my whole mission is with this entire channel, is to give you the super, like, ninja hacks, if you will, the things that are going to move you faster forward because they are the 20% that produce the 80%. Then the flip side is true. There'll be 80% of stuff you do that only matters for 20% of the time, okay? And so our job is to figure out, like, what's really going to work the best for us. And then we really make efficient use of our training, which is always going to be limited because we can't train for 8 hours straight every single day, right? So we have 1 or 2 hours a day if you're a professional dancer or an amateur aspiring to be a pro. If you're a hobbyist, maybe you do once a week, right? So you really want to make sure that you maximize that time. If you've enjoyed this, let me know. Give me a like, give me a share, give me a shout out. Make sure you share this with your friends. It's been wonderful to have you here. Please tune in for the next episode, subscribe to the channel, and visit Ballroom Mastery so I can help you master the art of ballroom dancing. Thank you very much.